All right, guys, welcome back. Miss Scott here again. Today we are going to start tackling the portrait part of the drawing. So just a quick review of what we talked about last week. We did the color wheel, and remember we put the primary colors equally spaced on the, these three on the color wheel, and then the secondary colors go in between them. And then we choose 3 colors that are in a row with each other, that are touching each other, as an analogous color scheme. And 3 colors together equals 1 color scheme. So I asked you to do 3, and I did ask you to color both of those things. And then the last thing was your monochromatic color scheme, which is basically a color scheme that's created with just 1 color, but just all of the different values of it. So I ask you to create a 5-step value color strip for the monochromatic color scheme as well. So what I want to start talking to you about today is the actual portrait drawing part. So that is something that takes practice. So I don't want you to be too hard on yourselves if it doesn't come right away. It takes a long time to really feel confident with drawing a portrait, but the only way to get there is to start. So we're going to start. So I have a picture that I drew for you, and this was online on your slide, so you should be able to find this, and then you can zoom in on it so that you can see each individual step, so that if you feel like you're not really understanding what I'm doing or you need to just slow down, you can go back to just this picture, or you can always rewind and pause this video to help you slow down, because this seems more complicated than it really is. It's really just a lot of guidelines. So this picture is online for you that you can pull up and look at, but I also am going to do it for you here today. So right now, I'm not worried about trying to make this look just like me. You can do yours with a mirror so that you can go slower and try to make it look like you. I'm not too worried about that for now. Right now, I just want to kind of show you quickly how to do it. So to start out, the first thing that I want to do is I need to draw my head shape. And I don't want to make it huge because I want to leave room for that awesome Kehinde Wiley background with the patterns. Now, I always tell you to draw light so you get it right so that you can erase. And when I draw one side of something, I tend to like to flip my paper over so that I can draw the other side. And then I usually can get it a little bit more accurate. You don't have to do that. That's just something that works for me to get my 2 sides to match a little bit better. And this might not be perfect. I'm going to try to go fast so that this video doesn't end up being super long. But draw light till you get it right, and then you can darken it in a little bit. You can always go back and clean up your little extra lines later. Flip this back over. So there's my basic head shape. Then it's helpful if you have a ruler, but you don't have to have a ruler. You could use even just like the side of your colored pencil box. That would work. Just something straight, or you can freehand it, although it's harder if you freehand it. And we're going to draw a very, very light line right down the middle of the head. And we want to make sure this is light because you're going to want to erase it later. So it's pretty light. And then I'm going to do the same thing across the middle this way. Most people, when they first start drawing portraits, they put the eyes up too high. They try to put the eyes way up here. But this is actually the crown. So this is like the highest part of your head. When all of this here, you've got to leave room for your forehead and your hair and all that. So your eyes are actually about in the middle of your head. So again, I'm going to draw a very, very light line across here. Now, when you make your eyes, that line is even lighter, which is a good thing. When you make your eyes, you can fit roughly 5 eyes across that line. So if I start in the center, and I'm going to really lightly draw an eye with like just an almond shape or a football shape. And then I'm going to try to fit 2 more eyes that are about the same size on that line as well. And I'm just going to pause here for just a second and check the camera and make sure that you can see that. Yeah, okay. So let's just do a couple more. And they don't have to be perfect. Nobody's face is perfect, but just so you get about 5 eyes. Like so. Now, obviously I don't have 5 eyes. I can go ahead even right now and erase my extra ones. But all of that does is it helps you get eyes that are a good size without having them be really big or really small. So I can go ahead and erase all of this already. Already extra. All right, and now I can go back and I can add some details to my eyes as well. So this is where you would want to look at the mirror and kind of really study the shape of your eyes. And you can tweak these lines a little bit and make them look more like you, or add things that are more unique to you. I'm gonna just make these a little bit darker, give them a little bit better shape. And then I'm gonna go ahead and add the eyelid. So I'm gonna add a top eyelid on top here, and a real skinny extra line for the bottom eyelid. Now, this is where you can also start to think about actual versus implied lines. An actual line, do it up here, is a line that you can actually see, whereas an implied line is a line that you can't see the whole thing, but your brain kind of fills in the gaps. So like a dashed line would be an example of an implied line, because we put these together in our minds to make the connections. So for something like an eye, for example, I might not be able to see, if it was a photo or something like that, I might not be able to see every last little detail in the eyes. Parts kind of can blend together. That's okay. You can draw parts of lines and your brain kind of connects the dots and does the rest for you. And that's completely fine. In fact, it'll make your drawings more realistic. So I just erase that center guideline from inside there, and then I'm gonna do the iris. Again, the iris, if you really look at your eye, your eyelid covers part of your iris for most people, so you don't draw this like full-on circle inside, and then the pupil, you do see most of the circle. Then I'm gonna come over here, do the same thing. This might be another opportunity for you to turn your paper upside down to draw. I'm gonna try not to do that for your sake, though I normally would. There's my bottom eyelid. Give it a little implied line there in the corner, and then an eyelid. And an iris. Pupil. And then I think for this one, I'm not gonna add any real strong eyelashes, because I think for this one, I'm gonna do a boy. I did my other example as a girl, so for this one, I'm gonna do a boy. And then I'm gonna add three more guidelines, I should say. The first one is I'm gonna take this bottom half of my paper, or of my face, and I'm going to draw a line just about in the middle of that as well. And I don't have to go the whole way across. This is just gonna be the bottom of the nose, so I can just do it in the middle very lightly, because you don't wanna have that big line through your face later. Looks like I forgot to erase the guideline inside here, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that real quick. And then for the corners of your nose, the outside edges of your nose, those fall just about in line with the corners of your eyes. So you can use your straight edge, your ruler, whatever you have, and draw two lines straight down from the corner of your eye. And try to keep them from going crooked. Try to get them straight. Your eyeball, you don't have to measure anything. All right, like that. Now, I know that I'm not gonna need this line in the middle anymore, so I can go ahead and erase that, so that I don't have to worry about it being in the way in my nose. And then I can add my details for my nose. So usually I draw the sides of my nostrils first. Since it's a guy, I think I'm gonna make it a little bit more angular. Maybe that side's a little too rounded. And then in between, I'm gonna do the center of the nose, like so. And then I can do the bridge of the nose as well. So I'm gonna pull this up a little bit. Again, I'm gonna make it a little bit more angular than I would for a girl. And then what's cool about the nose is the bridge of the nose turns into the eyebrow. So it comes up above, and then you can add your eyebrow. So I'm gonna do shapes for these eyebrows. You can do like on my example, I did like little hairs. You can do them however works best for you. I think I'm gonna do These ones more shape-like. Try to get my two eyebrows about the same. One on the other side here. Now, another good example of an implied line is I'm not going to draw the other side of the bridge of the nose. We know that the other side is there. This side kind of shows us what it looks like, and our brain's going to fill in the rest on this side. I don't need to draw that. It's kind of implied that that's there. All right, well, those aren't exactly the same, but they're close enough. We're going to call it for now. You can always go back and fuss with things and make them more to your liking later. Then I'm going to go ahead and erase these lines. I'm done with them. These guidelines, they just help me kind of box in the nose so I knew where to put it. And then I'm gonna take my straight edge again, and to figure out where the mouth goes, I'm gonna put it right about in the middle between that line that I just erased, where the bottom of the nose was, and the chin. So about in the middle here, between the nose and the chin, I'm going to make another very light line. And then the corners of the mouth come down about from the side of the iris to the pupil, somewhere in that area of the eye. As long as it's the same on both sides, you'll be good. And that just tells me where to put my mouth. So the middle of my mouth is what's going to go on that line. So like if you close your mouth, this is where your lips touch. That's where that's going to go. So I'm going to add that middle line. Where the lips touch. And get some of these guidelines out of the way since I'm not going to need them anymore, and they'll be harder to erase later when I have less space. And then I'll add my upper lip. Maybe a little high on that side. And my lower lip. Like so. And then you can add a leather upside down curve for like a chin if you want to. And then I can get rid of the rest of these guidelines. I'm done with those for now. Just get them all out of the way. Now, right now, it looks like an egg with a face, right? So I want to go back and I want to redefine the shape of the face. So this is where you would look in your mirror and really try to make it look a lot like you. For my purpose, I'm going to try to give it like a stronger jaw because I want it to look like a guy. So I'm going to curve this down a little bit, more straight up. Get rid of these old lines that were here so that they don't get confusing. But since I used that shape before to get my face all laid out, now I'm just kind of tweaking the shape of the face. And I know that everything's going to be pretty much in the right place. I'm not going to worry too much about the forehead yet until we get to hair. For right now, I'm just going to get that jawline kind of the way that I want it. Again, I would definitely be drawing upside down by now. But I don't expect you guys to do that or to feel real comfortable doing that. So try not to. All right. And that does a whole lot to make it not look like an egg, just getting like a more realistic shape for the face. in place. All right, and then the last thing that I want you to do is to think about your hair. So your hair you can do on your own, or you can use pictures from online, or you can use some extra handouts that I posted online. It's up to you, but just remember that this top right here, this top of the crown, that's really what's super important here. The rest of this doesn't really matter too much unless you have like a shaved head or like really short hair that you would want to follow that curve, because your hair kind of sits on top of your head. So a lot of this is going to end up disappearing as well. What we need to keep track of is this line right here, because we don't want to go too much higher than that, because that's the top of your head. That's like the top of where you can see. All right, so for this one, I think I'm gonna keep it kind of simple. I think I'm just gonna do like, I don't know, just this really easy haircut. Oh, I forgot his ears. We gotta add some ears too. Well, I don't think I would do that haircut again, but that's okay. We're gonna go with it for now. All right, and then the ears fall across from the middle of your eye and the corner of your mouth, which always feels big. No, the bottom of your nose, I'm sorry. The corner of your eye to the bottom of your nose. So you can add in your ears as well if you need to. If you're a girl and you have longer hair that kind of covers your ears, then you don't have to do that. Something like that. And then I want to make sure that they're in about the same spot. Your ears are attached to your head, so make sure, try not to like stick them on the outside, try to bring them in just a little bit. And then you'll erase the side of your head. Or you could even throw in another one of those implied lines, something like that, to show that your ear's attached. All right, something like that. That ear's a good bit lower, but you get the idea. You can add a neck. Get rid of the rest of these guidelines. We're done with them. Shoulders usually come off of the neck, up here. Something like that, and a shirt. Just do a normal t-shirt. All right, just something like that. Be patient with yourself. Don't stress about it. Don't let yourself get too frustrated. Sometimes if you just walk away for a couple minutes and come back with fresh eyes, then it feels a lot better. All right, guys.